Hello and welcome to the show. I am your host, Shànks the Red, and I'm kind of frustrated today because of what just occurred. We lost half an hour because of technical difficulties, and the way I see it, because I casted an hour yesterday, this is okay. Because it makes up for today instead of tomorrow. Or the day before, I mean. But essentially what happened was, Cat was under the desk, hit the power switch on the power strip that my computer's connected to, so my computer went down. My computer, since it is really my only computer in terms of hard drive space, is nearly full. So, because of the way it went down and the amount of space, it decided to check disk, which took like 15 minutes. And then I had a graphics update. My drivers decided to update because I hadn't shut down my computer in forever. So yeah. We also normally don't start the show in the middle of that song, but we're 30 minutes late. I normally let that song ride all the way out and then come in right at the end. My camera keeps getting moved. The cats obviously sit up here and fuck with shit. So today it's really bad and I needed to fix it because, as you can see, I have almost no room where my arm is. Apparently that's better. Kind of. Turn it back over here though. Fuck it. So, we are going back to this game, Final Fantasy VIII. We just started it yesterday. So of course we're going back to it. So yeah. Now, since we're starting in the middle of an hour, I won't be taking a break at 6 o'clock. Our break will be at 7. Sounds perfect, so I'm gonna take this off. Even my voice isn't getting extremely muffled today, which means the microphone's sitting in a decent spot. Probably not the best spot, but a good spot. So, like I said yesterday, and I didn't play enough to show that off, but there are two things I do before I do the seat exam. One is get a bunch of GF skills on Quetzalcoatl and Shiva. Mostly Quetzalcoatl, because they're for the seat exam. Shivas are for Ifrit, but those I get very quickly, so it doesn't matter anyway. Now this will be my first time using Renzo Kuken. Because Squall is at critical, I can essentially spam it with the circle trick is what it was called. When I found it, it's the cancel trick. It's a common trick throughout Final Fantasy games for abusing cancel techniques. The first one that really abused it was Final Fantasy II. The actual Final Fantasy II before they patched that. Where you could actually level up infinitely in a single battle with whatever weapon or magic you were using, just by canceling for your first 3 characters. In 8, you use it to exploit the fact that it has a formula it checks for your limit break, and unless you're aura'd about 90%, you almost never get limit break unless you're critical. There's a chance once you're closer to like 50% HP, but it's easiest when you're critical in the yellow. But that still doesn't guarantee you'll get it. But if you use the cancel technique, which is circle, or with the Steam version I'm using B, which would be circle. Hey look, you can see I'm using a blue green screen because it's my X key that's... And it's green screened out perfectly. It's fucking amazing. Anyway, you cancel until you see the limit come up, and that's all you do. It's really that simple. Now I want to check my GFs because I don't remember where I left off. Okay. One more battle and then Shiva gets to learn something. Ice Magic Refine isn't that useful while we're leveling. It's more useful after we're leveled. But it will have some use because more use than Thunder Magic would have while leveling. Because these things are dropping fish fins, and each fish fin is 20 waters with Thunder Magic Refine. So with 10 fish fins, both of my characters will have 100 water, which is my first magic. My first real magic to have a good quantity of, so it'll matter. And with that I can actually start junctioning. It also lets me start selling the fish fins at Balm. So once I have a full set of fish fins, I can go sell a bunch of them. Which will let me get a little bit of money. Because it doesn't sell for a lot, but it sells for enough to where it'll make an impact on my money. Because you don't get a lot of money. In fact, I get 0 money until I finish the seed exam. Because all of your money is based on like walking around enough steps for your salary to be paid. Which is how you get paid in this particular game, is via salary. And it's kind of something that they took and simplified in Final Fantasy XIII, where the only way to make money in Final Fantasy XIII is via finding money in boxes or selling shit. And it's almost the same way in Final Fantasy XII. They emphasize monster hunting over monster hunting and selling your drops over just hunting for money. Which isn't a bad idea, because it's kind of how the world works. At least the current system. Should there ever one day be a fucking Star Trek system, that would be awesome, but for the time being it's looking like that won't happen for a long time, if ever. Now something I was thinking about, and it's too cold to take this off yet even though I'm hot. I really need a blanket that I can use while I'm sitting here. But my bed isn't made. And that comforter's too heavy to bring over here, and it's too big. Since this is the Steam version, there is one real complaint I have about the Steam version of the Final Fantasy VII and VIII. But that's really only because back when they were released on PC, and this is a major point because they weren't all that creative on porting these two games. They sort of just took the PC games, updated them a little bit, and re-released them. That's really all they did. But there's only one movement input. So my movement inputs are right here on the analog stick. But that's not how I played most of the game. I played most of the game with the D-pad. Menuing and stuff, I like the D-pad. And I prefer a PlayStation D-pad, but I don't have a PlayStation 3 or 4 controller to get that working. So I do all my map moving with the analog stick, but I do all the menuing with the D-pad. So most of my movement commands are the D-pad. So that's the one complaint I really have, and it's really minor, because I understand why it doesn't exist. Like the soundtracks and stuff never bothered me, even though I do love the PlayStation soundtracks. I kind of destroyed my ears in my school years. So I can't tell the difference really anymore. And now we know card, so we're getting there. We'll learn some Magic 20 now to make it faster. Because I'm gonna learn that anyway, before we move on. Something else I was thinking about doing, because I did it my last playthrough, well, not my last playthrough, but my first PC playthrough, or my second, one of the two, because I played a lot of Final Fantasy VIII last year, before I got back into streaming. Because it's kind of my game when I just want to shut inside and be a bleak, depressed human for a while. Because it's one of my favorite games of all time. And it's usually, and I don't like saying this, but because it varies on even an hour-to-hour basis. Like, this hour could be different from the next hour depending on just my mood at the time. Usually, most of the time, Final Fantasy VIII is my #1 favorite game of all time. Because I've put so much into this game. I have so much invested into this game. don't know why I came here. Whatever. And I really don't like saying that because it does change between Super Mario RPG and in the last 3 years, Persona 3 was added to that list. Before that, I don't know what I would have considered in my top 3. Because I never really thought about it. Although if I was gonna go by how much I played a game, it would have to be Final Fantasy VII. But by how much I enjoyed the game, I guess I wouldn't be able to say that. But I played 7 probably more than 8. Because when I was younger, I enjoyed I don't know why, now that I think about it. I really don't know why. Like, I did more of 7's gameplay than 8, and I finished the game more times than 8. But, that's really only because my problem when I play 8 is I want to do everything, and I always get caught up in the card game. But 7 doesn't have anything close to that. It has chocobo racing, but I was never really a big fan of chocobo racing. It's fun to bet on, but to actually do, I never really enjoyed it. So, yeah. But until high school, I probably only beat this game like 3 times in comparison to like... I don't even know. Probably a dozen times with 7. Way more than that, really. Because that's another problem I had, was getting to the very end of the game and then not killing the final boss. But then once I got into high school, I started playing this game once a year. At least once a year. I started playing it annually. Mostly as a treat to me, and that's when I started beating it. So now I probably have closer to even finished games, or close to finished games, because I never really... That was the one thing about 7 for me that I couldn't really get into, was the final boss. Because even though I do love 7, it's just not the same for me. I would always get to the final boss and just never touch that save again. And I don't know why, because the final boss really isn't that bad. It's honestly not bad at all. And it's a fun looking boss. I just never really had a desire to close the game out. I don't know. The journey was always more fun than the closure. Which it should be, but I don't know. And that was a problem I had a lot with games in general at the time. But, 7's the only one that I still have that problem with, where I'd pick up the game and play it all the way to the end and then not touch it ever again. There isn't another game on the list that I would still do that with. There are several I stop halfway through with. Metal Gear Solid 3 is a good example of that, where I always get to I always finish the fight with the end, and then I just sort of never touch the game again. And it's a shame because the actual really challenging fights in that game and sections of that game are right after the end. Colonel Volgin and the boss. And my favorite section of that game, the Sorrow, is technically a boss fight. Technically. It also surprises me, now that I think back on it, because when I was playing through that series, the Metal Gear Solid series, I've never really played through the original Metal Gear games. It surprises me how much restraint Hideo Kojima showed with the Sorrow. Because his characters get fucking crazy. And some would say cross the line with Vamp. And I wouldn't agree or disagree with them. The Metal Gear Solid 2 characters were very over the top in comparison to 1 and 3. I haven't played 4 because I don't own a PS3. And I don't know anybody who owns Metal Gear Solid 4 who I'd actually go and play on their system. So it's just out of my reach for the time being. But if you look back at Metal Gear 2, Metal Gear Solid 2, well, if you look back at Metal Gear Solid, there was Psycho Mantis, who was pretty over the top. Sniper Wolf. Vulcan Raven, I think his name was also pretty over the top. Revolver Ocelot, who is pretty crazy, but nowhere near over the top. Because that type of, like, shooting and proficiency with weapons is in every game with a gun in it ever. And it's in a lot of movies, so... Revolver Ocelot is like the perfect grounded character in terms of his ability. And then there was Snake. So it was weird, but not over the top. Then came Metal Gear Solid 2 with Raiden, and Vamp, and Fortune, and Fat Man. That one got a little crazy. Some say too crazy. Although there are a lot of people who just couldn't get past the fact that you were playing as someone other than Snake. I was one of them when I first started the game, and then I started playing it. and that game is really crazy, but one of them had to be over the top to set up a story like that. I mean, but yeah, and then 3, they've got all these other over the top, like, kind of silly characters. But he never really goes too far with those. Not in the same way anyway, like... Vamp actually dies but doesn't die. Everybody in 3 dies, and then they don't just stand back up. So it surprises me, now that we're finally coming back full circle on the subject, it surprises me that he didn't take the Sorrow to the same point he took Vamp, because he had already done it before, he had already pushed the line. And here he put this ghost character into the game. And he didn't even try to hide the fact that there was a ghost in the game. And he doesn't really push it. Granted, it is a really weird encounter with the Sorrow when you fight him, but you aren't actually fighting a ghost. You're sort of haunted by ghosts, and it's more like janky, fucked up horror style gameplay rather than actual fighting. You're trying to avoid the ghosts so that they aren't like fucking with your brain and killing you. And the one thing that's really nice about it, which some say would be why it's weird, is he only summons ghosts that of people you've killed. So if you've killed nobody, and you can, by the time you get to the Sorrow, all you see is him. And he doesn't do anything. Not really. So you're just walking along this river. And he's just like, hi. I wish I could touch you, but I can't. But I think that's what's so brilliant about it, because not only does it make playing through as a pacifist more interesting, because it lets you see an entirely different boss encounter. And it really is a different boss encounter. Because when I played through the game and when my dad played through the game, because my dad played through before I did, so I got to see what that river looked like. He killed every fucking buddy. Everybody. I mean, I don't know how he even got to that point. But that was like the hardest encounter for his playthrough, because he murdered everybody, so trying to get through the river was really hard, because he had all the little people, all of the bosses, everything. When I played through the game, I killed like one guy, and bosses. I killed the pain, and I killed the fear, and that was it. So I had like 3 people in the river. I didn't kill the end, because they, no, I did kill the end, because they only give you a, no, I didn't kill the end. Because I couldn't find the sniper rifle. My first plate. I actually had to use the microphone to find the end. And then I found him and shot him with the tranq dart over and over and over and over again. So I didn't kill the old man. So we learned Summon Magic 20. Now we are going to start Summon Magic 30 because we're going to learn Summon Magic 30 on Quetzalcoatl. So she'll know it first because he's got to learn Card Mod. And then he can learn Summon Magic 30. He's also got to learn Thunder Magic Gravine. So we're also going to learn Strength Junction on Shiva. Because that's a good idea. And it is. It's a really good idea. Because I am keeping it on Squall. So it helps me beef Squall's strength right now. Like, now. Now in the game right now. So, my GFs are to a point where I don't really need to boost them. I could probably just leave them alone. And since I'm just sort of rambling while we're grinding, that might not be a bad idea because I'm not paying attention that much to the grinding. Okay, so I'm streaming, right? I can see my stream running. It's running smooth FPS, smooth bitrate, no dropped frames. My internet's working. I can connect to the browser, is what I mean. Because I'm an idiot and think it's the same thing. So my internet connection is working. However, visually, and I'd show you this, but I'd have to switch to monitor capture, and I don't really want to do that. Visually, it says, I am not streaming. In fact, I will show you. So this is my monitor. Now right here, it says I have internet access. You can read that. But there's a red X instead of like a connected. That shouldn't be there at all. So yeah. And that killed my frame rate, and I apologize. Because you're not supposed to do that with Arrow. And I do run Arrow, you saw that. So I'm sorry that the frame rate was lousy during that visual. And you may have saw, but I did take, I think it was Deadly's Fall, who made that background. I kind of jacked it because it's an awesome background, and I do enjoy Sour Kool-Aid Show. So I jacked that back when I was still watching them every day. I can't now because I'm not up to watch them. But once I finish Star Trek, I'm currently started Voyager because I finished Deep Space Nine yesterday, And oh my god, I never thought I would enjoy Deep Space Nine as much as I did. But I seriously almost enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed Next Generation, which is a huge compliment to that cast. Because it's really easy to love Next Generation. Just like it was pretty easy to love the first two seasons of the original series. Now, I don't love the original series as much as a lot of people do after watching it. And the reason is Season 3. That's really all I can say about it. I don't know why they went that direction for Season 3. Like, everything... all the setup, all the story, everything just sort of went down the shitter in the very last season. And that last episode, oh my god. I wanted to just pretend that wasn't the finale. Pretend that didn't happen. Because it's supposed to be this society where all the shit... Hey, how's it going? Yeah. But yeah, all the shit that happened in that last episode of the original series of Star Trek just blew my mind how far away from the idea of Star Trek it went from. I'm doing okay. Still disappointed I missed the first half hour of this cast because of my cats. Well, one cat. The one cat that walks over my power strips. But I'm managing, so that's nice. Since you weren't here for the hour I streamed yesterday before I realized I was feeling too sick to cast, I don't know what was causing the abdominal and intestinal pain yesterday, but Jesus. Most people will not like how I play Final Fantasy VIII. I play it very, very grindy. If you saw how grindy I did tactics, imagine that, but kicked up to 11. I don't think so. I could have a cold, but I doubt I had the flu. I haven't had anything more serious than like a sinus infection in almost a decade, other than being hit by a car. But all I got from that was like the skin on the bottom of my leg ripped off. Really. So I got off lucky there. Very lucky. Because that healed, and now I just have a minor scar. I wouldn't call it a minor scar, but it's pretty minor compared to like surgical scars. You gotta give it a chance, man. If you like stories, like reading, television stories, etc., you really, especially if you like fantasy stories, there are several Final Fantasy games that you can enjoy the story of. Gameplay, I don't know, because it's not everybody's thing. But that's why I watch people play zombie games instead of playing them myself. Because maybe it's got a good story. I don't like the gameplay of zombie games typically though. Except The Last of Us, because every time I try to start The Last of Us, somehow I always end up not finishing the playthrough. And it's a game I could consider playing through, but it'd probably end up like every Resident Evil attempt I've done, where I just stop and never touch it again because I don't want to. Now, I've never tried to play Resident Evil 4, and my friends are so adamant about me trying to play Resident Evil 4. But 1, 2, and 5, I've started them all. The furthest I got in any of them was 5 because I played it with a friend. Like 2 hours in, I was like, no, I want to take a break, and then we never touched it again. Now, one of the problems I have is that I am the story guy. I'm the guy who could give a shit about the gameplay. So when my story gets interrupted, I'm immediately turned off from the game. And the friend I was playing 5 with, knowing I had never played a Resident Evil game before, never neglected to mention, because he thought it would be more interesting if I learned watching the gameplay, that cutscenes don't mean shit. Cutscenes aren't cutscenes. And I don't like that. So, the moment I saw QuickTime events in my cutscenes, I just wanted to uninstall the game immediately. And I've had a long drawn-out argument with one friend over how much I don't like QuickTime events. Even though there are some I tolerate, there are several I tolerate because they're placed in the combat. He wouldn't. He was. The argument over the Resident Evil cutscenes never ended, and our stances never changed. And it will never end. Like, if either of us brought it up, there would be another fucking, like, hour-long debate that goes nowhere. Because there's really no concrete, like, truth to any of it, really. It's all subjective. You either like it or you don't. So, there's no changing somebody's mind if they like QuickTime events and their cutscenes. As appalling as that sounds to my brain, I just accept it. But it's definitely not for me, man. But yeah, the way I play Final Fantasy VIII, most of my grinding gets done in like 3 or 4 parts. Like huge chunks of grinding. And then we do huge chunks of story, then huge chunk of grinding, huge chunk of story, huge chunk of grinding. The biggest chunk of story is the first chunk between grinding, because the second grinding section isn't very long. So, yeah. That's kind of a thing. And I've actually played this game. There was one playthrough that took, like, literally probably... I didn't finish it, but I was at, like... 150 hours. Last time I touched it. Because literally the way I set out to play it was every time I got a new Guardian Force or GF, these summons, I would stop and grind until I finished everything in the GF's AP list, everything it could learn. I didn't get it out of the first disc. That playthrough was still in the first disc, if I recall. Because the best grinding spot is in disc 4. There are decent grinding spots until disc 4, but they don't compare to that one. No, we're halfway to card mod. But, granted, I probably will only get one of the optional GFs. Like, optional as in you have to go out of your way to get it, this playthrough. And then I'll do anything else like in side stuff that I might do before next year. The good news is, next game is definitely going to be Kingdom Hearts 2. Really looking forward to that. I'm putting Persona 3 off until maybe... Well, it really just depends on how long I finish the Kingdom Hearts series. But, that's gonna be the longest playthrough of the year is Persona 3. I'm sure. Because that's probably going to be like an 80-hour playthrough. Because if it's not longer. Because I've only beaten Persona 3 Persona 3 is in my top 3 games, but to tell you the truth, I didn't know about the Persona series until 2012, and I didn't beat it my first time until 2013. True story. Because at the end of my relationship with my last relationship, and now I've sworn off relationships because I don't care. And that's a long story. One of her friends introduced me to Persona 3 in the Persona series, which I had never heard about at all. Now, given Persona 3 and Persona 4 are really what drove the series into popularity, it can be understandable because Persona 4 came out in like 2008. So not really that long a time to not know about it, as far as I'm concerned. Especially since most people I've asked that have played the Persona series prefer 4, which is interesting to me because I prefer 3. Even though the combat is worse in 3, I prefer 3. Personally. I forgot what I was gonna say. That sounds like the saddest movie, like, promo ever. Because I read that with, like, the deep, manly promo voice. In a world where man came somewhere, where man came all over his clothes. I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that. But no, really the long and short of that story is you have to though, because it's the best like announcer voice ever. But yeah, the long and short of that story is over the relationships I had, I realized when it comes to the human orgasm, and now we're coming to like this topic. When it comes to the human orgasm, I don't care about the method, as long as it gets done. So a relationship and sex are not my thing. Especially since, like, male and female reproductive organs, like the actual reproductive organs, the vag and the penis, turn me off immediately. I haven't, but that sounds awesome. But yeah. So I can't really call myself asexual because asexual implies you're attracted. You're not really attracted per se to anything. But I'm about as close to it as you can get without being. Yeah. It was actually a big problem in my last relationship because she had a really high sex drive. And the moment anything started, I was completely uninterested. So she tried. All of my relationships have been at least 6 months long. I've had 3. Like actual relationships with people. One was 6 months. That was my first one. One was back and forth. It lasted 2 years almost, and then there was this weird stint in the 3rd year that was on and off. So that one I don't really talk about at all. And then there was the 3rd one. That was a little over 2 years. But I kind of knew before my relationships. And you really kind of do, like, where your sex drive is, even without the actual action, just by reactions to things. So, yeah. Most comfortable topic ever. And I actually have no problem talking about it, that's the funny thing. Like, in my Ocarina of Time casts, I kind of spent an entire cast talking about it. It was interesting. Very relaxing topic. I don't know why. No, Quistis, you're almost dead. But yeah, I mean, I don't see nothing wrong with it. And the way I see it, it just keeps me out of the bullshit that is trying to maintain a relationship. This early, no. Because this is literally the first before the fire caverns. I just grind. That's kind of how I play this game. I just grind. Once we finish the fire caverns, we will be grinding the energy crystal. Via triple triad. Because we can get Enoil games this early. Enoil cards this early in the game. And energy crystal is the most important piece of farming my Lionheart, because it's the easiest way to do it. Especially a Disc 1 Lionheart. Disc 1 Lionheart is a lot of fun. Granted, I don't have discs because I'm playing on Steam. I do have discs, they're up there though. I'm just not using them. Which I still never found my my PlayStation 1 thingy. Like, I've got this container of PlayStation 1 games and I don't know where I put it. Because when I was a kid I was like, fuck jewel cases. Why do I need the jewel cases for? I'm just gonna step on them because I'm an idiot. So now I don't have a lot of my jewel cases. Literally, this is the only jewel case I have because I bought this while I was in college. And it's not my good... Well, it's my working set of Final Fantasy VIII discs, but as you can see, they're the standard Final Fantasy VIII discs. My parents bought me the collector's edition, not that they knew that at the time, with the faces and stuff, that I destroyed as a kid. Which I still remember the last time I tried to put them in, and when I finally realized I needed a new copy. Like, I finally accepted the fact that my copies were just gone. I don't actually know what that means. But I mean, it's kind of obvious I'm playing the Steam version because it says button 3 when I boost. Well, that would be true. This one actually is, even though the jewel case is garbage, and it even still has the book. Which is honestly one of the reasons I wanted to get it, because I love the instruction manuals. Having these. This one was actually my favorite instruction manual I've ever looked at. Because it had the little stories of the characters and stuff. I also really liked the one for Final Fantasy VII, but I don't have that one anymore. Because I was an idiot as a kid. But I mean, you gotta remember, the PlayStation was the first console I had where the boxes weren't shit. They were jewel cases, which means you could actually keep them without having to care for them. Instead of Nintendo 64 or Super Nintendo, where my parents just threw away their boxes because they had the Super Nintendo and there were cardboard boxes. And with the Nintendo 64, since we had no Super Nintendo boxes, we were just like, well, they're just cardboard boxes. But we don't have most of our Nintendo 64 games anymore because my original 64 was stolen, along with my original PlayStation. Which is why I have the funny little, like, rounded one. The PS1. The one that was released, like, around the time the PlayStation 2 was released. Fucking ridiculous. Yeah. My computer still says I'm not connected to the internet. It's the best computer. Obviously I'm not connected to the internet, right? Right? I mean, OBS doesn't need... Streaming doesn't require an internet connection. Right? I don't know why that bothers me so much, but just seeing that red X there, even though I know for a fact there's nothing wrong with it other than that visual. It just bothers me. And it bothers me more because I know nothing's wrong, which means it's wrong. And I don't know why. It bothers me so much. How close am I to Summon Magic 30 on Shiva? Pretty close. Unfortunately, I'm dying, so we need to go visit the inn. Now, button 6 is right bumper, right here. And I have it not set to auto. So I actually have to hit the button myself, which auto really only, like, essentially the way auto Gunblade works is it flips a coin, And if it comes out heads, your gunblade procs. So you don't want to use auto if you can do the R1 trigger, the right bumper stuff, because if you can if you can trigger it yourself, you're going to always hit it. That it did. And I was reading that while I was explaining. Just kind of enjoying it. So we need to sell these fish pieces for money. I can't sell the occult magazine, which upsets me because I need it. I need that magazine to finish the one achievement I have left. And look at how much money it's worth. Like, I could have 17,000 gil right now. That entirely depends on me. It is a good question though, but it really just depends on me and how much side shit I want to do and how much I grind. Given I have so much shit to do in between games, I probably won't set up like for more optional stuff so that I'm not really tempted to come back to this game this year for the side stuff. Which means once we're done with this grinding, we won't grind during the seed exam for a high C ranking. Even though I'm gonna get max seed ranking anyway, the reason I'd grind for a higher one is because you take these quizzes to get your seed ranking higher, and the lower amount of quizzes you have to take, the more you have available to you when your seed rank inevitably goes down for like grinding and doing side quests. So yeah. This playthrough for the most part is going to be straightforward with a few exceptions. There is one optional summon I get in Disc 2, and I'm grinding out Squall's best weapon in Disc 1. Which those will take time, especially the optional summon. In fact, we might just skip him altogether. But I've never skipped him before, which says a lot about how strong he is. It's also funny I've never skipped him before, because my first 2 playthroughs, the one I failed, which if you saw my tactics playthrough, I've like skimmed over it, I mentioned when I was younger and I did my first playthrough of Tactics 7 and 8, my first playthroughs of those, I failed my first playthrough of 8 in Tactics, even though I didn't really fail my first playthrough of 8, because I didn't know I could get out of the spot I thought I was stuck in. But in Tactics I did fail it and I was stuck and I had to restart. So when I played those games I actually had to restart them. Eventually I'll get back to 10's optional bosses. It's on the list. There's just a long list right now. And when it's stuff that I have to go back to, it's just sort of what I feel like going back to. Which kind of puts it near the bottom of that very long list. Although it's not really at the bottom, because right now Arkham Origins is at the bottom because I finished it. And all that's left is New Game and New Game Plus and New Game Plus Plus. And I enjoy Arkham Origins, but like when I went back to play that, that was the most tired I felt on any of my casts. It was weird. Like I'm yawning a lot right now, but I don't actually feel tired, so I don't know why I'm yawning. But with Arkham Origins, I was just like, I'm just gonna fall asleep here on cast. I should do a cast like this, just where I slump down in my chair and it's just my head in a chair. Like, alright. Maybe stick something blue over my chair so it's just my head. I wouldn't say that, because I'm not. And I don't really yawn when I'm bored. I literally just stop doing what I'm doing and do something else. And I did that on cast when I started. It's funny, that past broadcast is probably long gone by now, but when I started Arkham Origins, I started it as my next game to play when my Final Fantasy X save just sort of, I fucked up and overwrote it, so I had nothing to play, so I played then we played Kingdom Hearts, or no, we didn't play Kingdom Hearts next. We played, then I tried to play Arkham Origins, and 2 hours into the cast, I was just not feeling it. I was so, like, not interested. So, as I went into my next break, for the 3-hour section, third hour, I was just like, we're just gonna take a break and switch games. And we did. We went straight up switched to Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga. And that was it. And when I started in last January, when I was casting like once every other month, granted in July I got like a good week of casting, but every time I cast, I would switch like the game 4 or 5 times because I just wasn't really interested in doing anything. So I was bored of everything in a way. But that's kind of how I handle boredom. Once I realize it, or once I accept it, rather, I move on. But, a fun way to tell that I am, like, really bored of a game is to see when I grab my cup, with the exception of right now because I'm grinding and it's really easy to drink, When I grab my cup, typically on games I'm like really into and I don't want to stop, I'll go like hours and hours, but then I'll realize I haven't eaten, I haven't drank, I haven't done nothing. And it's shown on stream too, like Kingdom Hearts, both Kingdom Hearts games. I'll just forget about my drink out of nowhere. I accidentally walked out of the beach. I don't want this. I want the beach. I am more interested in another game though right now, so there is a chance and it's bothering me because I did want to play this game like right away, but yeah, we're gonna do that. I'm not bored of this game. Because that defeats the purpose of what I'm doing. I'm doing this grind so that I can kill the spider and then not have to worry about the chase. Because if you kill the spider right away, you just walk through the city, and it's no big deal. You lose out on the awesome cutscene, but I've seen it so many times that I don't care. But yeah, we're gonna take our break early and we're gonna switch games because I do want to get through this game